In today's lesson, you will learn to solve algebraic fractional equations. In other words, you will learn to solve equations that involve fractions. Your first step is going to be to eliminate the fraction. Once you eliminate the fraction, and I'll show you how to do that in a few minutes, then you will end up with a linear equation or a quadratic equation. So you must remember how to solve linear and quadratic equations. The strategy for solving a linear equation is to get all of the variables on one side and all of the constants on the other side. Once you isolate the variables and the constants, then you divide by the coefficient to get the value of the variable. For quadratic equations, you want to put the right member 0 and the left member in descending order. In other words, you want to set it equal to 0, and then once you set it equal to 0, you can factor. Then you set each factor equal to 0 to get two answers. If you do not remember how to solve linear equations and quadratic equations, then you might want to listen to one of the previous tapes before doing this one. I'm going to start you with a starred rule. So this is something that you need to memorize. You need to put it on your study sheet, and you need to go over it several times. To solve equations involving fractions, the first step is to note excluded values. The second step is to clear fractions. The way you clear fractions is to multiply both members by the least common denominator. Your third step is to solve the resulting linear or quadratic equation. Now, I told you just a few minutes ago how to do that. When we get to it in today's work, I will go over it. The fourth step will be to give the answer. Now, it may be that what you get in step 3 is not your answer. You have to go back and look at step 1 and make sure that something that you think is an answer is not an excluded value. So you must be very careful in giving the answer. Make sure that you do not give an excluded value as an answer. Let's start with an easy example that does not involve variables in the denominator. Let's solve x divided by 2 plus 3/4 equals to x divided by 3 plus 1. I need to note excluded values. There are no excluded values. No excluded values. The reason we have no excluded values, I'm not dividing by a variable. I'm dividing by 2, 4, and 3. None of them are variables, so we do not have excluded values. The second step is to multiply both sides by the least common denominator in order to clear the fractions. Now, I need the least common denominator for all my fractions involved. So I have a 2, a 4, and a 3. The least common denominator for 2, 4, and 3 is 12. So I need to multiply both members by 12. 12 times x over 2 plus 3 over 4 is equal to 12 times x over 3 plus 1. So I multiplied both members by the least common denominator, which is 12. Now that's the whole key to solving fractional equations. That is to multiply both members by the least common denominator. Now I can distribute to get 12x over 2 plus 36 over 4 is equal to 12x over 3 plus 12. Now I could have reduced before multiplying, but I decided not to. If you would prefer reducing, go ahead and do so. I will probably reduce in all the other steps. But I wanted to stress now that I simply distributing. When I reduce now though, I will clear my fractions. 12 divided by 2 is 6, so I have 6x plus 9, 36 divided by 4 is 9, is equal to 4x plus 12. 12x divided by 3 is 4x. I have a linear equation. I know the equation is linear because my largest exponent is 1. The strategy for solving a linear equation is to get all of the variables on one side and all the constants on the other side. So I need to subtract a 4x from both sides. That leaves me with 2x plus 9 is equal to 12. Now I need to get the 9 with the 12. So I need to subtract 9 from both sides. That gives me 2x is equal to 3. So I've isolated my variables on one side, my constants on the other side. Now I divide by my coefficient, so I have 2x divided by 2 is equal to 3 divided by 2, or x is 3/2. Now with this type equation, the check is not absolutely essential, but strongly recommended. Due to time, I will probably not check most of mine, but I will go back and check this one. So the equation is x over 2 plus 3/4 is equal to x over 3 plus 1. So I'm going to draw my box, and on one side I'm going to put x over 2 plus 3/4. On the other side I'm going to put x over 3 plus 1. Now after solving it, we got that x is 3/2. So I think that x is 3/2. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to replace the x by 3/2. So I have 3/2 divided by 2 plus 3/4. Here I would have the 3/2 divided by 3 plus 1. Now to divide, I'm invert and multiply, so that would be 3/2 times 1/2 plus 3/4 on this side, because that's 2 over 1 if I invert it's 1/2. So I would have 3/4 plus 3/4, which is 6/4, which gives me 3/2. Now I need to see what I get on the other side. I have 3/2 divided by 3 plus 1. That would be the same as 3/2 times 1/3 plus 1. The 3's will cancel. That leaves me with 1/2 plus 1, which is 1/2 plus 2/2 when I get a common denominator. 1/2 plus 2/2 is 3/2. So the two sides match, so therefore I know I solved it correctly.